What do these animals have in common? Well, they all belong in Singapore. No, not this Singapore. This Singapore. Wildlife that were documented by a small group of Singaporean photographers, and well, we talked to them. And what started as a simple talk about nature with these locals led us to a larger conflict, one that involved urban development, poaching, and clashes with locals that most Singaporeans often overlook. So join us.
So I started my passion in wildlife photography at a pretty young age. So at first I was very interested in animals, and then after some time I picked up my first camera and I fell in love with photography. But it was only a few years after that that I actually merged the two passions together and started venturing into wildlife photography. I realized that by posting all this, by sharing these photos and videos with the world, I'm also raising awareness for all these various animals that are over here, that don't have a voice on their own, and I can be the one that provides this voice to them. And only through this kind of awareness can people start to fall in love with nature, because they only can fall in love with nature because they can see what's out there.
Obviously, it started with back then in school. No, obviously that's many years ago. But in 2016, I decided on a serious investment of my equipment, and that's when I also joined the Nature Photographic Society back then. You're talking about
why me?
Okay, I thought you were talking about.
So I met up my friend for lunch, and he showed me pictures of insects, and I was like, wait, wow, you mean you took all this in Singapore? He said, yeah. That was so impressed, and he invited me to join NPSS. He was a treasurer at the time.
Okay.
What started as a normal fixation towards the wildlife quickly became something bigger than themselves. And for good reason too. In Singapore's 2030 Green Plan established by the government, it announces its priority to transform Singapore into a city in nature, one that would strengthen connectivity between Singapore's green spaces and to restore nature into the urban landscape.
How acres actually contributes to the wildlife in Singapore? Well, we rescue and rehabilitate wildlife. Last year, we rescued about 3,838 animals from over 16,000 calls. We do a lot of work in terms of equipping people with a proper wildlife etiquette so that they know how to coexist with such animals, and trying to get them understand each individual species, what is their behavior and what it actually means. Like for example, snakes, they are actually very shy animals. All animals, they don't attack people, they only react in self-defense.
And you can see this one. A species that is targeted very frequently are snakes. I always like to bring the example of snakes because it's such an interesting species that is both feared and revered by people, right? And on the other hand, you have these people that do not like snakes at all. Whenever snakes encroach into urban areas, they would go and try out of their way to kill them, torture them, get rid of them. And even if they don't encounter them, you can see online comments whenever news articles come out about snakes. They would just say, oh, if I see one, I would almost definitely kill it. So I think that's the juxtaposition of the Singaporeans, right? The ones that really love nature and the ones that really do not like it.
We have had many cases of people illegally keeping wildlife that they take from the wild. While it is not a very clear act of poaching, such as they lay traps and stuff to catch the animal, but the simple act of taking an animal from the habitat and bringing it back home, that can also be considered poaching. Well, the whole process of reversing their imprinting may take 6 months or up to a year, and we have people who feed the animals complete wrong diet. So for example, like a black-naped oriole, they just come with very bad discoloration and a lot of other vitamin deficiencies. So sometimes, if it's so severe, they have to be euthanized. We also rescue exotic animals from the illegal wildlife trade. Some of them, out of good intention, they might want to take matters into their own hands, try to pick up and handle the birds. We always encourage people not to do so themselves. but rather, contact us.
However, an article shown that out of 1,000 Singaporeans, 45% of respondents who spend 4 to 6 hours a week in nature said their impression of wildlife became more positive over the course of the pandemic. Not only that, out wildlife sighting group numbers have skyrocketed, some Facebook groups having 50,000 new members joining in 2020 during the pandemic.
COVID certainly has brought the community a little bit closer for the fact that people can't get out of Singapore that much, and they are trying to make the most use of their time in Singapore.
I do think that there's a heightened sense of appreciation for nature because during circuit breaker, I think everyone was really bored and they were all stuck in their own homes, and the only places where we could go out to explore was either when we go out to exercise or in parks, nature reserves. So I think a lot of Singaporeans started going out to explore all these places.
To us, I think the first thing you must be able to at least appreciate nature, appreciate the image first, right? Then when you start appreciating it, start saying, hey, I want that kind of photos, then that's how it slowly develop. And we really hope that it's a lifelong hobby and not something that you do when you're like say for 2-3 years and then you stop.
The same survey showed that a higher proportion of adults aged 45 and above either strongly agreed or agreed that they felt a strong sense of care towards the natural environment, compared to the youth. How can we, as a community, educate the youth so that they may be aware of the issues of our fellow wildlife, being able to take care of it?
I think definitely the future generation will be more capable of raising awareness and taking care of wildlife better than the older generations, with new information, new knowledge being spread rampantly across social media and the internet. I think more and more people are aware of how to better take care of our country, our forests, our planet. So I think definitely, hopefully our biodiversity is in good hands.
And like 6 camera bodies as well, so we actually okay to rent to sort of let them try it out. And these days the technology has advances a lot more, and the cost actually come down quite significantly. So that's why I see young photographers joining us as well. I don't know if you call that Rifqi. There is no. We are kind of quite a.
It's an informal.
We are quite a community. Actually, it's quite family-like per se, right? You call the president, he's not so much of a top of the hierarchy, but it's just the one that's probably volunteer the most time, spend the most time volunteering, and because it's all volunteer-led society.
To me, besides taking photos, once you know the behavior, probably you know how to protect them, how to educate the public, hope to bring people to know the nature and appreciate it. Once you appreciate it, you start to treasure and protect it.
Here in Singapore, because we are a rapidly developing urbanized country, people would be surprised to know that there are still animals here. We do at least make an effort to try to bring back the animals that were somewhat lost due to this urbanization.
I do believe that nature photographers can be very helpful in the wildlife scene in Singapore, because as storytellers in their own way, they actually help to highlight the beauty of such animals around us, help to create a better sense of appreciation for these animals, and as people who are often spending time on the ground watching these animals, they help to become eyes on the ground for us to notify when there's an animal that is in need of help.
If we want to truly transform Singapore into a city in nature for our green plan, that culture is decided on all of us. To look outside, and if it means taking a photo, it's a door worth opening.